Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
So the holidays are upon us. We're going to talk about something that you really should realize during the holidays. And even if you watch or hear this and it's not around the holidays, it still applies. It is probably one of the most important things that you can do to find the joy within, to move your life forward, to get past a lot of challenges and hurdles. And it's so simple. And we've talked about it before, but we're going to blow it up today and really focus on this one thing. And that is practicing gratitude. It sounds cheesy. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds too easy. and people will turn around and say, well, yeah, I am grateful for and that's great. But are you truly practicing gratitude? She's somebody who does. I call her a gratitude warrior. She's also an author, speaker, Reiki master, heart math coach, if I remember correctly, life coach, intuitive. The list just goes up. This is in her wheelhouse. She's Becki Koon, and she's back with us. Hey, Becki, how are you?
Hey, Steve, I'm doing great. Full of gratitude.
Yeah, and I'm grateful that we met. And and I believe that things do truly happen for a reason. And after we did meet, we found that we are so connected, even though we're thousands of miles away. It's not even worth going into, but it's almost bizarre, but then it's not, because that's the way the universe works. But this whole gratitude thing, I know it's even been scientifically proven that it's important for us to practice it the right way, which we'll get to. But why? Why does it make such a difference in our lives?
Because if you look at the energy of it, okay, so Becki's going to go to the vibrational frequency of the energy of gratitude. It's a higher level of frequency, much like appreciation and love and compassion. So those feelings, when we feel them inside, they're a higher level energy for us to access. And when we access those higher level energies, we're more connected to our essence, our soul, God, those divinity energies within us and without. And when we connect to those types of energies within us, we experience more synchronicity. We experience more peace. We experience more joy. And gratitude is one of those feelings and emotions. And the thing is, you can be grateful mentally. Like, it's easy to say, oh, I'm so grateful for that. But really imbuing it into your body and your essence and feeling that gratitude, that's the shift. Like, it's an energetic frequency shift that happens.
And I guess, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, no, and so it's that elevation of energy that helps you access things that maybe, if you're stuck in the mire and the muck, are harder to. So, yes.
I guess it's the same as if you say to somebody, I love you. But the difference is, if you feel that overwhelming joy, love, acceptance, all of that, that's the game changer.
It's the game changer. Everything is frequency. And when we can, and I'm all the time stepping back and going, okay, well, remember, Becki, it's energy. Everything's energy. A thought is energy. And it's, as you think the thought, it goes out into the field, the energetic field, and it pulls to you, or it magnetizes to you certain things, right? It's part of like manifesting and those kinds of practices. But gratitude is one that I think is just really connected to the divine, Steve. And when we access that, I'm talking gratitude for self sometimes first and foremost. Like, it's really easy to be grateful to some outside event, person, people, place, thing, right? But to find gratitude for who you are, what you're experiencing, what you're going through, that's the bigger challenge. And yet that's a huge piece of finding gratitude and shifting.
Hmm. Is it as simple? And I'm so guilty of not doing this because I always want to, and I let other things, and I am saying that I let other things get in the way. Is it as simple as keeping a gratitude journal?
Yes. Yeah.
Hmm.
Just write a couple things down. It doesn't have to be, a big document. Just a couple things in a one word, what you're grateful for.
Yeah.
Um, a while back, this was a few years back, I'd heard people doing a practice of a gratitude jar, and they would so I made this jar and I put little sheets of paper right next to the jar. So it was really easy to just take a piece of paper, write something gratitude for the day or the moment, and then put it in the jar so that I would have them for later. And one of the things that Jack and I, my husband who passed, we were both doing that. And
Hmm.
it was probably before I wrote the book. It was at one point, it was, I think, a year and a half after he'd passed. I hadn't touched that jar. Like I hadn't opened it, period. We'd just been putting stuff in and neither one of us had opened it up. And I thought, you know what? I think I'm gonna look. I think I'm gonna see what we were grateful for. And the first piece of paper I pulled out was from Jack. And he talked about how much gratitude he had for me in his life and how I had made such a difference for him. And it was just like, it was beautiful. It was heart wrenching, but it was beautiful. And so it helped me continue to move forward in love with what was going on in my life, knowing that I had experienced a man who deeply was grateful for me. So, a gratitude jar, writing it in a journal, even just, going to bed and saying, what happened in my day that I was grateful for, and just coming up with a couple of things, just helps set the tone for you to go to sleep. And then when you wake up, so in the morning when I'm having my coffee, I love my coffee in the morning. I still have coffee in the morning. I just sit there and I'm grateful for the day. Like I look outside, if the sun's shining, I'm grateful for the sun. I was walking to my shop this morning and I looked over at the blue sky and I was just like, oh wow, it's such a beautiful blue.
Hmm.
So even those things, Steve, that you notice, those simple things you notice, that's a level of gratitude. You may not be thinking in that moment, this is gratitude, but when you have an appreciation for something, when you see something and you're like, oh, I'm so fortunate, that's gratitude. And sometimes, Steve, sometimes it's the fact that you're breathing through something really intense. Okay, I'm breathing. You know, I've got that. I've got that. Um, so
Hmm.
yes, it's simple. We get hung up on the definition of things because that's how we communicate.
Yep.
It's how we make a reference to our life. But gratitude can be so many different things and then do it in so many different ways.
I wrestled with the gratitude journal, and I got to get back to it. I am going to write in it tomorrow because I like it in the morning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I came up with a simple format where it's like the date I am grateful for, and I'll put three, maybe four things. And like you said, they're short. There was one time where one of those entries was my cup of coffee in the morning. I have recently switched to tea. But
Well,
whatever
I
it
drink
is.
CBD coffee, so I have coffee that's really healthy. It's good
Yeah.
coffee.
Yeah. I had some ulcer type issues, so I figured, yeah, let me pivot over to tea, and it's all been good. But I'm grateful for that alone in
Yeah.
itself. But even breaking it down, let's say you go to Starbucks and you get a coffee.
Mhm.
Even just writing, I am grateful for this warm cup of coffee, which gives me joy. And I'm also grateful for the people behind it, the growers, the clerks, all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
On to the next thing. I am
Yeah.
grateful for whatever, plans that I have tonight, whatever, just simple little things. And then
Yes.
then another day comes before you. Um, it,
Well, and think of it like this too, is when you do that, Steve, when you do those simple little acts of gratitude, or noticing or being aware of things that you have, that you're grateful for, you're shifting the energy field. You're allowing a higher frequency into your body, which then allows you access to seeing life differently, to experiencing life differently, to magnetizing life towards you differently.
Hmm. You know, that's another thing. I mean, we've talked about manifesting, and the vibration you put out is truly the vibration you get back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes it's latent, because what happens is we have a thought and an awareness, and it goes out into the field. And it may take a while because that's out in the field of consciousness, right? It's mingling, it's
Yeah.
doing its thing out there. A want, a desire can take a while to maybe come back your way. But if you're looking all the time for negativity, if you're always on alert and saying, okay, what's the next thing that's going to happen? Great. you know, Great. That energy puts that out there. And so that next thing that's coming may not be great, right? But if you put the energy out of, I'm so excited, what's the next thing that's going to happen? Did you see the difference? Even just in how I presented it, the energy is different. And so
Mhm.
that is what's going out there, and a higher frequency, a higher level that's going to bring something that, you may be really, really excited about.
I've gotten rid of this phrase. Like, let's say something happens and there was a little twist to it. Maybe it wasn't the most positive thing. And a lot of us say, well, it could be worse.
Yeah.
Right away, you're saying be
Yeah.
worse.
Yes. 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 The universe
Why?
doesn't distinguish between
Right.
good or should, or like you're just putting that energy out there. Worse, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But why say that? Yes, we get the intent, but it's also, and the reason I bring that up, it's also the language that we use within
Yes.
that. And I have to tell you, in the last 2 days, I manifested minor things. Went to the mall. I haven't gone to the mall during the holidays in forever, but somebody wanted to go, so I went there. And I'm like, where should we park? What entrance do you want to go in? And we decided, oh, let's go in, by this store. And I said, it's pretty crowded. We're gonna find a space. Space is going to be there. And I was waiting for somebody to pull out. I'm like, it don't look like they're pulling out. That's not the space. I pulled to the ends of the aisle and looked to the left, and there's a piece of construction equipment with some cones. It was all good next to what looks like a space. I'm like, that's a space. Pulled right in. And last night I went with my son for buy one get one wings at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Okay.
And last time we went, it was pretty crowded, but I said, we are going to find a table. We're going to find a spot. We did. Last night, the parking lot was insane.
Oh,
I
I
don't
bet. I
even
bet.
know what's going on. There's nothing else I can see that people are going to except this. And we walk in, there's a crowd in the foyer. And I'm thinking, we're going to find a spot. That's going to happen. And they just took us. I'm like, yeah, we have. And there was tables. But what
Yeah.
you think may not
Yes.
be what is, because I honestly thought I knew we were going to find a spot, but I
Mhm.
didn't know why it was there. Maybe there was a party somewhere. I don't know, but I'm telling you that it was a packed lot, and I thought it was the buy one get one. But just putting the positivity out there, and I even said to my son, he doesn't believe any of this. And I was like, yeah,
Mhm.
we're gonna find. They have a table for us. Don't worry about it. It's all gonna be good. And it was, and we got the same server that we get. Like
Oh,
we
wow.
get we're like once every 2 months, every 6 weeks, whatever. And
Mhm.
they said, yeah, you got Nicolette, and she, hey guys, how you doing? Like,
Right.
it
Right.
just when you put the positivity out there, I feel that the universal pieces of life's puzzle kind of fall into place.
Right. And just think of it in a, like you said, the way that you frame it or the way that you think it, because, like, for example, if I tell you, do not think about a pink elephant, what does your brain think about?
As soon as you said it,
Pink
I I,
elephant.
I saw a picture. There's not even a question in my mind. like
And I
like
said,
in like that. Wow.
yeah. So, I
Wow.
mean, it doesn't hear the don't think, like the universe is responding. And so when we can learn to frame things and when we can learn to say, I'm so grateful for the abundance in my life, and I know more is coming, and this, this and even greater, right? That's what you're putting out. And like I said, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's not easy to find gratitude when you're in the thick of something really hard and really stressful. And my daughter's surgery last week, she had major reconstructive surgery in her lower back. But I tell you what, we went in, we knew it was going to be good. Of course, I was sending her Reiki. We were doing energy healing, and the nurses and the doctor and the staff were phenomenal. It was amazing. And the surgery went great, and she's healing, and it's not comfortable. She's got, she's moving through what happens when the body's healing. But just reframing everything, just reframing it so that, you're grateful for that there was this doctor that was able to do this work, and gratitude that I was available to be there to be with her, and gratitude that my mom was there to support, all of those things. You can find those things even in the intensity of something.
Did you ask for it to go well? Like, call it from a higher power? Were you thinking that? Like,
absolutely. So, I'm very, very steeped in my spiritual belief. I'm connected to God and Jesus and those energies of the divine. And so anytime I'm doing something, when I'm working with clients, when Brandy was getting ready to head into surgery, I'm calling in the team. It's like, okay, everybody, let's make this happen.
I got you. And I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, but it's part of what we're talking about. My daughter had to go to the hospital a little over a year ago, kind of an emergency situation.
Okay.
And they told me we don't have a room for her. And the conditions that she would have to be in for maybe a day or two weren't that great. So I prayed to my mom. Mom, help. I need you now. You've been there. Yeah. Now's the time. Yeah. Please. Nurse walks out and says, oh, wow, this is 30 minutes later. We have a room.
Wow. Yep.
It gets better than that, though.
Okay. I love a good story. I love a good life story.
You can't make this up. And it's one of, when I vibe my mom, I get it. They assign her a doctor and things are going really well. Mm-hmm. Turns out the doctor's name is my mom's first and last name, her maiden name.
Wow.
And her first name is Rose. So that was, in itself good enough. And then I'm talking to my daughter. I'm like, hey, it's so funny. You have Dr. Rose. Mm-hmm. And my daughter says, yeah. And there's another woman. Well, a woman walks by. I'm like, is that your doctor? And she's like, no, that's somebody else named Rose. It was just somebody on staff that supports patients. So it was like, I asked.
And your mom. Right.
Got it. And everything turned out great. The way it all worked out the way it was supposed to. But I asked for help.
Yeah. That's the piece that sometimes we forget, that we can ask for help, that we're not doing this alone. It may feel like it. You may not have somebody physically present with you in what you're dealing with, but we all have access to that help. We have loved ones around us. We have ascended masters. We have, God, the divine energies are just there waiting. The angels, the angelic realm, I was calling in the angels big time, and so all of those types of energies we have access to. And even if it's just a moment of, okay, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to find gratitude. Help me. And then just step away and see what comes,
That's a really good point too. Like if we don't know how to do it, ask for help. Even in that, what do you think about when you feel you deserve something? And I'm not talking about money, although that can be it, but I'm not, let me clarify that. I'm not talking about, I deserve a windfall of $1 million. Okay. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I'm just talking about things in your life. You genuinely feel you deserve, but it's not there. How does that look? And can that change with the right practicing of gratitude?
Yes, because what happens is you begin to shift your internal environment with gratitude. So if you feel like, okay, so let's say you deserve to have, if what you're wanting is a relationship, let's say you're single, you want a relationship, and you know that you deserve a really great relationship. You know that, right? But it's not present yet. It's not there yet. Stepping into a practice of finding what you're grateful for now, in the now. Like, I'm grateful that I am a kind and loving person. I'm grateful that I have a roof over my head. I'm grateful, finding those things that you can be grateful for about yourself, because that begins to shift the internal environment energetically. And when you're shifting the internal environment energetically, it goes out and shifts the environment out in the collective. And that collective signal then gets sent out. And so there's a radar that gets sent out. And hopefully, potentially, that person who maybe is your next relationship will sense it and will be drawn to it. And the universe has this beautiful way of orchestrating. So, it's about setting the stage. You have to set the stage. And if you know that you deserve something, if you really feel like you deserve that raise, put that out there, but then let it go, because it may not be in the job that you think it is, right?
Right.
That energy may not be where you think it is. It may be something totally different. That's why, putting it out there, being grateful for what you have, knowing that something better is coming, something even greater. Don't try not to define it too much. I mean, put it out there. There's lots of different thoughts about, you have to do it exactly how you want to see it, but then let it go and let the universe provide, let the universe take that and do its magic, and then see what comes. Because sometimes what comes is you couldn't even imagine how amazing it is.
And it could show up in a totally different form. Yeah, I talked to somebody recently about their business, and they told me what I'm doing now is kind of what I thought I was going to do, but something totally shifted and brought business to me in a completely unplanned, I just almost 180 direction.
Mhm.
When you say setting the stage, I love that in that if you're going to do that and let it go, you
Mhm.
have to properly set the stage. And maybe we don't fully do that. And what I think is really important, what you said, Becky, is that being grateful and honest with yourself in terms of what you say. Like, yeah, I am a good person. I am.
Yeah.
That's the way, maybe it takes you years to figure that out, but we're afraid to say it.
We're afraid to say it. We're afraid to receive it. And so, one of the things that I do with my clients, Steve, all the time, because this is part of what I get to do, is I go into session with someone. I kind of go into that field of higher consciousness and awareness. I see how much support and love each person I've ever worked with has. I see the divinity within them. And it's amazing to me, and it's powerful, and it's beautiful. And I'm always reminding people, you are so amazing. And if I could show you what you are, who you are, that would be my greatest gift. That would be my greatest gift. Because, Steve, we all, being human and divine at the same time on this planet, we're amazing beings, all of us, all of us. And we forget that. We don't know how to access that. We don't know how to accept it. Like, sometimes I'll
Accept
tell
it.
people, I'll share with people what I see and what I sense. And it will bring tears to my eyes sometimes, because it's so beautiful.
Mm.
And sometimes it's hard to receive, you know?
And I guess it goes back to the relationship thing where maybe we're afraid to, and it could be any relationship, even
Yeah.
friends.
Yes. Friends.
We're afraid to accept that we are good people. And by not doing that, we don't get the good people in our lives, or the amount of people, quality type people to come back around, because
Mhm.
we're afraid to accept that, yeah, we're okay. And I think it actually goes back to things that we learned when we were kids. And the number one
Yeah.
thing is I'm not good enough. You know,
Yeah.
you're inferior. Most of us struggle with that, whether we realize it or not,
Sure.
of that feeling of just, I'm not good enough, or I'm a failure, or whatever, and it could happen when you were, 5 years old. You heard something.
Yes. Yep. And we don't escape it. I mean, we're human. We're down on this planet that's messy. It's like
Yeah.
it's not just this easy experience, right? We have a myriad of life experiences that make up who we are. And so moving through and finding within you that part of you that says, I'm perfect, I'm divine, I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be, and I'm grateful that I've had the life experiences that I've had. That's sometimes not easy to access, but it's like, that's why we're here, Steve. That's why I'm reminding people. That's why I'm doing the work that I do and sharing that divine aspect with them, because we need it. More of us need to be reminded. We just need to remember. I mean, look at children. Think about children when they come in, really before they've been, conditioned, right?
Yeah.
They're light. They're bright. They're excited for the world. And they see the world as this beautiful, magical experience.
And they're all the same. I don't care what color
No
they
matter where
are,
you go. Yeah.
what nationality they are. Every child, when born, and a couple of months after that, is all the same. It's the exact same. We got 30 seconds left. I'm going to ask you a question.
Geez. Okay. Okay.
Do you feel that many times the crap that we deal with in our lives, the things that come at us, all the things that are just, challenging and all of that, I don't mean this in a bad way, but do you think a lot of it is our own fault?
Oh, sure. Sure. We don't know what we don't know, Steve. And so we'll step into things and we'll step into situations because we just don't maybe know any better, or we don't have a different opportunity at the time, or we do create experiences in our life. Sometimes some of those that we've created are not great.
Well, that's where I'm going with it, where what we thought became reality.
Mm-hmm.
The lack of gratitude allowed that stuff to happen to us. If somebody only thought good thoughts, positivity all the time, gratitude all the time, would it radically change somebody's life?
I think it would, but it would radically change in the way they perceive their life. It doesn't mean that we're still not going to experience some of our humanness, accidents, challenges. I think it's in how you view that. How resilient do you become? Right. How much gratitude can you have even in those things that seem really, really hard and that you've experienced? I think that's the shift. The shift is internal, Steve. We're still going to experience life.
It's like your gratitude force field.
Right. Yeah, there you go.
In a way.
There you go.
Wow. This time just like flies by. I don't even know how that even happens. Your website, if somebody wants to talk more about this, dig in deeper with some of the stuff you offer, is your name, BeckiKoon.com, correct?
Correct. BeckiKoon.
Yep. Super simple. Always great talking with you. Really is.
Yeah, you too, Steve. You too.
You are the light. You really are. Yeah. And a lot of the stuff that we may be thinking, but we don't push it forward. You give us the spirit to move forward. Same thing with me in the gratitude journal. My gosh, I'll go back and it's probably 4 months ago, last time I wrote in it, but I know I should be doing it all the time. And you just back that up. And it's so simple. It's simple. So simple. Yeah. Simple. All right. Looking forward next time we talk. Happy holidays, by the way, to you and your family.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. You as well.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.